Okay, I am back. For those that's listening just to this part, be sure and go and check out Worship Piano Music. Is what I'm chilling with while I'm talking to you. I've done two parts already. You definitely want to listen to those and share them, please, because you can help someone in your family, especially these teenagers today. They are dealing with a bunch of these silent fear things that I'm talking about here. And we have a lot of people who are facing anxiety, especially in this part. So I'm hoping that this part will be able to cover everything. First of all, the music title is Atmosphere of His Presence by Worship Music. Please go back and listen to the other parts. Let me jump right in here. I just want to say this first if you're listening. We know that God hasn't given us a spirit of fear. But many of us as believers, we become confused because, and I'm going to use that word confused because many of us are dealing with these types that I'm kind of showing you here, because we think that any fear means that we feel God. That's not true. There's a difference between the fear of a matter or a thing, the fear that arises from the trauma, as I talked about in the first two, caution or life experiences, a spirit of fear or torment, some things like that, and control that dominates our mind. And the fear of falling, like I was talking about for myself, and that my son helped me and Prophet helped me to understand that they're not saying that I have a spirit of fear. I have a fear of a matter, of a thing, and a lot of that came from what I explained early on in the other two. So you go back and listen to those. So I'm hoping in this segment I can get you to understand and separate these truths so you can stop condemning yourself and anybody else, beginning with the understanding about what's actually happening, what we're actually facing. So I'm giving you these key scriptures and you can go back and read them yourself. 2 Timothy 1:7. Okay, we all know that one. 1 John 4:18. Psalms 56:3. Isaiah 41:10. Proverbs 22:3. Okay. And just one more thing I want you to know, having fear in these feelings is not the same as being ruled by the spirit of fear. Okay. So let's look at this part that I want to share here about these two kinds. So I'm hoping I can get it all out here within this short span, because these are real kinds of fear that a lot of believers, they quietly struggle with this, especially those that are anointed seers and prophets, particularly intercessors. These are silent things that quietly will come that we will fight, with, especially if you stand in the gap for people. You feel like, am I getting that? So that is anticipatory fear. And sometimes it's anxiety based fear. But anticipatory fear is the fear of something that has not even happened yet. But the mind begins to imagine it, prepare for it, dread it, or emotionally react to it as if it is already happening. Been there. It is our mind that's living ahead of the moment. As I said before, I'm ready, watching the steps to make sure I don't fall. So it is the heart reacting to a possibility instead of a reality. Okay. It is the nervous system preparing for danger. Okay. This is normal. God made us that way. This danger that may not even come. But the anxiety type of this, I'm sorry, the anxiety type of this type of fear, we know that it's similar, okay, but it is often broader. It is the body and the mind becoming distressed, overwhelmed. As I talked to you about my mom, restless, intense, worried because of the uncertainty of the unknown, of course, the threat or the emotional overload. But this is why some people say, what if I fall? And that's what I would think in my mind. What if I don't recover from the fall? And what if, they argue with me when they come home, when he get here or when I get with her or my children come in here with their mess? And what if I lose everything after all my hard work? What if, all these what ifs? And what if I can't make it? What if I get sick and don't recover? And these children, I don't know, what if they find out I ain't got no insurance and they got to take up a cup for me? And I can't afford the insurance right now, but what if? What if I drown if I go out there and I was scared of the water anyway and they know that, but I went on out there with them anyway? What if I lose all my money and I go to the game room and knowing that that was my life bill money? What if? What if something bad happens? Notice something. Many of these fears that I just described here briefly, it's not about what is happening right now. They're about what might happen. That is what anticipatory fear is. So the definition of that is this is the type of fear of a future event before the event even occurs. That is anticipatory fear. You can just use the other word, anticipation. Okay. So mentally, it's called this anticipatory anxiety. Okay. So this means that the brain begins to predict danger, it prepares for pain, you know, it imagines the loss. So I had a participatory uh, fear when I was going to the doctor to get this, stress test. I gotta, and just imagine that dye going in my vein, So anticipatory fear, okay, we were prepared for something that didn't even happen. It turned out it wasn't even like that when I got there. So we imagine this. We imagine the loss. We imagine the lack. We imagine the bills that we're not going to be able to pay. Forgetting that God, our Father, is Jehovah Jireh. He owns everything and everybody. He'll make your enemy give you money to pay your bill. Don't make me preach. I want you to think about what are you imagining, of a loss of scarcity. And many times in this time, we rehearse that disaster. And emotionally, we experience that something's going to happen tomorrow because you're fearing it today. You got to think about what we're doing here. In a simple language, what I'm trying to say here is that the mind starts suffering in advance. That's the best way I can say it. You start suffering in advance, which don't make a lot of sense, but that's just what we're built up like. So I want to give you a definition of anxiety type, okay? This type of fear. So this anxiety type of fear is when fear moves beyond caution. It begins affecting everything around us. It affects our thoughts, our emotions, our concentration, you know, your sleep. You think you sleep, but you're not because your mind is going 100 miles an hour about the what ifs, your peace. Everything is chaotic around you, and you think everybody bringing it in hell when really it's you know, your decision making. And so mentally, this anxiety type is that your body's alarm system becomes overactive. It starts to trigger in what's called like an overactivation. So your body starts acting like it's in danger, and the danger is near. Fear is near. Shame about to happen. Even the danger may not actually even be present. Even the part that you think that somebody might know about you, they have no clue. But you are having this type of anxiety. So I'm gonna give you some signs of anticipatory type fear. There are some signs. So the person with I keep getting my tongue tied. The person with anticipatory fear, they may think about the worst, as I said before, the worst case scenario, outcome of a matter. You often think always the worst about what could happen. What if they're having an affair? What if I wind up catching a disease from them and I'm still having sex unprotected? What if this happen? Okay. So you rehearse these vast scenarios in your mind. What if he eventually wind up, abusing me because I abused him financially. So now he's going to wind up doing this to me or getting back at me. So now you want to avoid situations. You got to figure out how you're going to do that before anything even happens. You're trying to figure out how you can avoid them. You have this mental over preparedness. You feel this dread before even anything happens. Before any appointments that you got to go to, you are dreading them. Like I said, I was about the stress test because I hate that they always want to put that dye in your vein. But they didn't even do that this last test I had. They used a whole new system while I was already anticipating the worst. We feel nervous even days before the event even happened. I didn't have nervousness, but I was definitely anticipating the worst, okay, about the event. We expect something to go wrong. And I expected them that they won't get my vein because the vein is hard to get, that I may have to leave because I'm going to let them stick me more than 2 times. Okay. So now this nervousness the day before, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot they're going to have to keep trying to figure out how to get my vein. So I was nervous the day before the event even happened. Too much unnecessarily. Okay. When none of that happened, I just said, Father, I just thank you, Lord. When I got there, I said, God, I thank you and get the right person that they can get my vein easily, that I don't have to go through this constantly sticking me, that I have to just leave because I'm not going to let it keep happening. So, Lord, let me get this test done and it happened just like that. I didn't get to die. I didn't get nobody keep sticking me. He got the vein on the first stick. Thank you, Jesus. But we expect something to go wrong, right? That's what it does, that anticipatory fear. We repeatedly say, what if, what if? And you have trouble relaxing. You overthink the future possibilities, and they all are negative. That's what you got to understand about this anticipatory fear. Okay. That means this person may not even be in danger, that you may be thinking about your son or your daughter, the situation about the children. Now, because I'm such a compassionate person, and then I can hear and see in the spirit, I'm constantly saying, oh God, why would you let me see that? I don't want to see that. Lord, okay. But what he's trying to do is get me to learn how to pray about a matter that may be occurring or may about to happen, because that's what seers and prophetic people see ahead. So he's trying to give you, because he said, if my people would pray. So I'm his people, and he's showing it to me. He's entrusting me with that to be able to see in the spirit and hear in the spirit. So that means I'm showing you, not intercede, pray. Don't get all panicky, just pray. So now I don't push away what he's trying to show me. He was just recently trying to show me something. I was like, oh man, why you let me see that? Oh my God. And so immediately when I saw it, I'm like, okay, Father, this is really overwhelming. All right, I'm fixing to pray now. Do I have to see it all? I don't want to see it all. So I just opened my eyes. I said, I don't want to see no more, Daddy. If you got to show it to me again, I'll just go ahead and look. But can you just show me pieces at a time? I don't want to see all of that right away, Father. So I had an anticipatory fear of the unknown, what the rest of the pictures that he was showing me to see in the spirit about, that I need to pray about. So this person may even be in danger that you may be seeing or whatever. But the mind is already living in the danger zone. That's what anticipatory fear does. God is not going to give you no dangers and no torment. He's entrusting that you can handle what he's showing you. So here's some signs of anxiety type fear. The anxiety type fear often affects the body too now. And so you're going to get that racing of your chest, you're sweating, you're shaking, You can see that with my mama, you know. You feel dizzy. We try to see what we can do for her. I didn't know what to do other than to say, he's not here, mama. Are you okay? Dizziness, tight chestedness, upset stomach. Some people's stomach just start hurting them. They can't eat or nothing because they're dealing with anxiety. Stomach always hurting, but really it's the stress that's in your stomach. I had stress so bad when I had my national television talk show. Internationally, it was a big deal. People seeing me globally on TV. I had anxiety a lot because I'm constantly thinking, oh, am I saying the right thing? I don't want to say something that my husband may be mad that I said on live. Whatever. I got so full of anxiety so bad that it was in my stomach so bad that my stomach stayed in knots. I know I'm talking to somebody right now. It stayed in knots. I couldn't even poop sometimes. I stayed constipated, okay, until the point that my stomach got so sick. Poop was so bad it exploded. When I thought I had went to the bathroom, I never went to the bathroom enough. My stomach exploded one year, and I wound up having to wear a colostomy bag. I had to have major surgery. I almost died. Listen to me. The devil crazy. He's stupid. He a loser. He wants you to have this difficulty and this rapidness in fear in your stomach, feeling that you're always going to be on the edge. That's what I was always on the edge, because I was doing a lot of traveling to churches and ministering to people and, eating on the run and this stomach tight about what's next, fear of failure, fear that they're not going to receive me at the message that I have to preach. I had these muscle tensions and these backaches and panic feelings, needing to be in this constant reassurance that I'm going to be okay, talking to God, Lord, help me, and he's steady saying, you open your mouth, I'll feel it. Don't make me preach. When you open your mouth, you ain't going to be talking nowhere. You can write all the notes you want, but I'm going to say what I want to say through you. And don't you worry about their faces. It's going to be like flint. They will sight upon you. Don't make me preach. And it was exactly that. And I bless God, and he get all the glory that I did what he told me to do. But on the other end, my flesh had the anxiety of the matter silently. I know I'm talking to you. Some people say, I just don't feel right. I feel like something bad is coming. I just don't know. I feel like I just can't seem to settle down or get no rest. That is often the anxiety type of fear. Now, here's the reasons of the anticipatory fear. As I said earlier, it was there because of my past. He was there, and this one's like a little bit longer. Let me see how much more I'm gonna have to share with y'all because I'm not sure. I'm looking at these notes. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get a chance to give y'all all of this. I'm about to come back because I want to make sure everybody listens to all of this. You need to hear this. So I'm gonna come back and give you part 4. I don't have no choice. I'll be back. Love you all.